In this video, we'll explore the concept of syntony, which describes the harmonious integration of our own self-interest with the interests of the wholes of which we are a part. Now, syntony essentially means to be in tune together, and philosopher Pierre Teilhard de Chardin used the term to refer to a state of alignment between ourselves and the process of evolution. Systems scientist Alexander Laszlo developed this concept of syntony further and proposes that human beings can experience syntony within 5 spheres of life, namely 1. The intrapersonal sphere of self, 2. The interpersonal sphere of others, 3. The trans-species sphere of nature, 4. The transgenerational sphere of ancestors, and 5. The pancosmic sphere of cosmos. In the following clip, Alexander explains the spheres in greater detail.
The embodiment and manifestation of conscious evolution. How do we relate healthily to our own ongoing evolutionary being? Are we eating in ways that are nourishing? Are we sleeping enough? Are we taking care of ourselves as an evolutionary being? So this is intrapersonal syntony. That's the first sphere, intrapersonal. It's a whole universe of exploration. How do I keep myself in balance? Right? So that's the first sphere. As soon as you add another human being to this, how am I going to now not only keep myself in harmony and dynamic harmony in syntony, but now while I'm doing that, how am I going to also be in dynamic harmony with somebody else? That starts to be, that's another level. Okay. So now you're talking about how do we have a non-dysfunctional relationships? How can I be in a organization, a company, or even in a family without sabotage or intrigue or game playing, right? So we know how to live together, but how do we actually do it? So part of first, our first sphere, now plus our second sphere, being with other human beings. The third sphere brings us to the more than human world. So now, us humans, how are we in harmony with nature? Rights that nature has, that the orangutans have, that the rivers have, that flowers have, that everything, right? All these living things that even the water cycle, right? So it's not just what we consider to be living per se, but all the life support systems as well. What rights do they have to have a river itself be clean? The fourth sphere brings all of this into dynamic relationship over time. Because the spheres 1, 2, and 3 could all be happening now. What's my relationship with myself, with each other, with nature now? But the fourth sphere asks you, what is your relationship in these 3 spheres with your ancestors? And when I say ancestors, I don't just mean your great-great-grandparents, but I mean 10,000 years ago, possibly not even humans. Ancestors of all beings, are they looking at what you're doing today and saying, oh, wow, cool, that's a good continuation of what we were doing, what we began. It's worthwhile seeing you as my descendants because, wow, look what you're doing, it's great. Or would they say, what are you doing? Where did you go off the path? So that's that conversation with our ancestors. It's a conversation. And at the same time, at this fourth level, we have a conversation with future generations, with those who are not yet born. Because, we are ancestors in training right now. We are future ancestors, right? This moment. And of whom? Well, someday they're going to look back to us and say, what did they do? What were they setting the stage for us like this? Are they going to say, thank you? Wow, what a great stage you set. Or are they going to say, what were you thinking again? So this brings the fourth level, the transgenerational. So we got intrapersonal syntony, interpersonal among humans, trans-species with nature, transgenerational with ancestors and future generations. And the fifth syntony sphere is pan-cosmic. And that's where we start to get into the conversation with the deeper patterning of the universe. And we start to ask, okay, so if it's love, spirit, consciousness, whatever we said, the earth is one manifestation of this. How are we part of this bigger patterning of coherence in the cosmos, not just on Earth, but in the cosmos? This is the bigger story. Frank, if the Earth disappears, which we hope it doesn't, But if this pattern is going to continue in the universe, it's going to continue, and our atoms are going to become part of another narrative someplace else. It's going to go. So how are we consciously part of that narrative? How can we remember these old stories of patterns even before the earth existed and restory ourselves into this narrative this now gets back to Seattle Bindu and others, the oneness, the story of oneness, right? So remembering that is at the fifth level. And finally, this is all like an omega symbol, because the fifth level is right next to the first level. Because the fifth sphere of oneness you can access through intrapersonal engagement, by meditation, by being at peace, by being calm. You get to the fifth level directly. So it really is a circle. Where do you start? Well, you can start with yourself and then relations with others, but you can also start at the pan-cosmic. All five need to be in syntony among themselves, all right? You don't just practice one at a time sequentially, but you have to have the interpersonal syntony, the trans-species syntony, the transgenerational syntony, and the pan-cosmic syntony at play in your every breath. Well, sure, super easy. No, but it is a practice. This is the practice, I feel, the practice of life.